Hi Delvers, so welcome to another lesson. In this lesson we'll be running through the basics of logical operators in SQL. Logical operators basically are operators that are used when you need to combine multiple conditions while filtering your data. Logical operators are made up of three main operators. You have the and, you have the or, and you have the not. Those are the three major logical operators we use in SQL. So let's just get right into it. Let's just select all as we usually do. I'm just going to give that a space. Select all from, let's use our supermarket underscore sales table, sorry. I'm just going to that, I'm going to load that quickly. All right, so here we go. Drag this down so you can see the result. Just gonna drag this a bit up. All right, so that is our table there. It comprises lots of columns: the invoice ID, the branch where they made the purchase, the city, the customer type, if it's a member or a normal customer, gender of the customer, and many other columns there. So it's quite a wonderful table. Let's say, for example, we want to see a customer. Want to see the customers that have spent or that have bought more than 5. So they've bought more than 5 items in our superstore. So I'm just going to come there. We've considered this before, the where clause. So let's say where the quantity, and that is, say, greater. We want someone that's bought at least, say, 7 items. So let's say where the cost is greater than 7. Now that's just the proper one. When I load that up, it comes up with this. So that means we have just 4 customers that have purchased items greater than 7. So I'm going to put this as greater than and equals to, not just greater than. So we can include 7 in that also. So I'm going to run that again. And we should have 7. Yeah, perfect. So we now have 7 there. So let's say, so that's just the where clause. And as I said, logical operators are used if we need to combine multiple conditions. So let's say, for example, I need an extra bit here. Say I want to check if they spend a total of, say, more than 500. So at least I can be sure that, okay, that's a good client. So I'm just going to put this there and say, and I'm going to explain this in a bit now. And total, say total equals, let's say, or not equals now, total should be greater. Total should be greater than 500. So I put that there. If I load that now, so normally we should expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We should expect 6 rows this time. Yeah, perfect. 6 rows. So now what we've done here is to combine that condition with this condition in simple terms. Now, so what does the and, what does this and mean? That the and would mean that both conditions must be true. So whatever will be found in our output here would be the intersection of both conditions. That is, it will check those whose quantity is greater than or equals to 7. It will also check this, total is greater than 500. Any row that intersects that condition, that is, any row that is true for this condition and is true for this condition, will be returned in the output. Now, just similarly, we have the word or. I'm just going to change that. Or. Now, or is another logical statement that is being used. Now, logical statement basically would mean that whether this is correct, if this is correct, it will be returned, or if this is also correct, it will be returned. So in this case, it's necessary not intercepting the result. Rather, is ensuring that both conditions are fulfilled and they are returned in the output. So let's just load that a bit now. Now, this comes up with all of this data, and let's check this a little bit more. Now we can see here that we have this data. We have someone that's purchased more than 7 items, or at least 7 items, and they have a total of more than 500. That's fine. But look at this person now. This person has purchased more than 7 items, as you can see there. However, the total amount they've spent is less than 500. But now that's the or. The or necessarily is not intercepting the conditions. The or is only running the first condition. If that is true, it will be found in the result. Also run the second condition. If that is true, it will be found in the result. So that means just one of the condition has to be met, not both conditions. Just one of the conditions has to be met. Now let's push this a little bit further. I'm going to change this back to and. So let's say, for example, I just like to put this in capital, don't mind me. Let's say, for example, I want to combine multiple conditions also. Now, we can use a parenthesis. So I can place this and say, placing that, look at me, placing that there, placing that there. Now, I'm just going to run that first, which we've done before. So now that's done. So we just have the details, basically 6, as we said in previous time. So let's say, for example, we then we've seen this, but we also want to compare it with another condition. So let's say I want to check also that, or I'm only interested in customers that are male. I don't want female customers. So I'm just going to say, and gender. Look at me now. Oh, come on. Yeah. And gender is equal to, now, say male. But I've told you, I think I've said this before. Now, because this is a string, SQL won't recognize that. Now, if it's a number, that's fine. But with a string, you need to put that there. Now, so this way, an apostrophe needs to be added. This way, SQL recognizes that value now. Now, what I want is, I want those that have purchased at least 7 items, and equally in that same vein, they've spent more than 500. Now, after you have compared this, because that's the parenthesis, just like if you can remember Pendax, where the parenthesis takes priority. So what SQL will do is it's going to run this query first, which obviously is here, then filter again on the condition where the gender is male. So if we're just going through, off the top of our head now, we know most likely we expect just 2 data, which is this and this. But let's just run the query and let's see what happens. Yeah, and there it is. So we have just 2 data, which is where the gender is male, basically. So let's say, for example, now don't forget, or is going to intersect. You understand? And will intersect. And would mean both conditions needs to be correct to be found in your output. Or would mean either of those conditions needs to be correct to be found in your output. And I think that makes sense. That means if one is correct, that's fine. Or would mean it's either this or this. You understand? So it checks the first query. If that's fine, so the first condition, if that's fine, it will be found in your output. It checks the second condition. If that's fine, it will be found in your output. But and we'll check the first one, check the second one, then find the intersection of those 2 conditions. So I think that's a bit clear. Let's go now to the not operative. Just as the name implies, it basically negates what condition we have specified. Say, for example, I had a not here. Now that's saying So let's say, for example, I'm writing that. So I'm saying where the quantity greater than or equals to 7, right? But I've negated it. So it's where not. So that is, I don't want anything whose quantity is greater than or equals to 7. So that means it's going to return anything less than 7. So I'm just going to run that. Any quantity less than 7. I'm going to run that. Yeah, and as we can see that in our quantity there, we don't have any row that has a quantity greater than 7. So basically, that's where the not plays a role. Now, the not is quite similar, very similar to something we have considered before. If you can remember, when we consider the comparative operators or comparison operators. So, which is this, where you have that, if you can remember, not equals to. So if I remove this now, if I remove this not, we should most likely get the same result. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Basically, we should have the same result of the quantity not equals to 7. So I'm going to remove this quickly, and I'm going to run that. And we should have the exact same result. Yeah, exact same result. You see where the quantity is, yeah, we don't have, now there's something to check here basically, really. Let's have a quick look, a quick glance here. Now we've said where the quantity is not equals to 7. Now, so what it is doing actually is anywhere where the quantity is 7 wouldn't be found in our result. So I think it's a little bit different. I mean, in using this case study is a little bit different. So what it's doing is anywhere 7 is found, anywhere the quantity is equals to 7 would not be found in our result. But anywhere the quantity is either less than 7 or greater than 7 will be found in our result. So it's a little bit, this use case, in this kind of use case is a bit different because now we're dealing with integers. But if it's a use case that's probably dealing with strings, we might be getting the same result, if that makes sense. So that's basically how we use the and, the or, and the not operators in SQL. So in our lesson, we'll compress everything we have learned thus far, and we'll try to use that to solve problems. Because I believe personally that learning doesn't stop where you learn. You need to be able to apply knowledge. That's when you can say, indeed, you know it. So what we do in our subsequent lessons, at least for a while, is we'll try to solve questions together so you can apply all that you have learned thus far. So till then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.